So much is going on, it's hard to keep on top of all the transfer and football news right now. There is so much news surrounding Man United transfers and it's impossible to keep up to date with what's going on elsewhere in the transfer window. We'll try and cover transfer news at other clubs today as well as what is going on with United transfers and finish off with news on the Manchester United takeover and the sale by the Glazers. Let's first have a quick look at the Man United transfer news. I brought the news yesterday that Onana is a done deal and the paperwork has been signed by Onana subject to a medical at Man United. Inter and United were still in negotiations last night, sorting out a few minor issues, but it was just a formality, and I've been saying this to you for a long time. They've just been trying to work out a payment plan, and everything else was agreed. This is a done deal. It's done. A lot of people are saying, look, we want to know what's going on, exactly what's going on. A lot of fans are still worried, thinking that this hasn't been done because it's not been formally announced. It's not going to be formally announced for a couple of weeks. So, look, I'm telling you that it is done. Onana will be flying over to Manchester very soon in the next few days to get his medical done. I told you the major negotiations and points were agreed last week between the clubs, and what they've been agreeing this week was just the structure of the payments. It's funny that back in the day when fans found out about signings, it would be the day the club announced the signing. However, these days we find out about transfers literally even before the negotiations take place, and therefore each and every transfer feels like it's taking ages and it's being dragged out. But this is not the case. And the way in which transfers are being done and the pace they are moving is entirely normal. In fact, I would argue that today's transfers are much quicker from the start of the negotiation to the player being announced. Onana was actually expected to be in Manchester this week for his medical, but earlier this week Inter wanted the payment structure a certain way, and thus it has been taken longer to resolve than expected. But last night it was confirmed by many different sources that the player had been signed for United, subject to the medical, and of course Inter being happy with the payment plan. So it was just a matter of time until we got formal confirmation of this. But formal confirmation of this may take weeks. Now, back in the day, this kind of information would not be public knowledge. So we get detailed hour-by-hour updates these days on transfers, yet we are so impatient about it. I've been assuring fans for over a week now that Onana is set to join United, but they still want an announcement from either the club, which is probably a week or two away, like I said, or a confirmation of "here we go" from the legendary Fabrizio Romano, who is currently the transfer king on Twitter. However, I can see fans becoming impatient, even with Fabrizio, asking him to use his catchphrase to confirm Onana. But you have to remember that the more and more established Fabrizio has gotten, the more less and frequent he's able to bring you breaking exclusive news for the fear that he might get it wrong. This is why he only uses his catchphrase once it's absolutely certain that the deal has gone through. However, by that time, numerous other smaller sources, news channels, fan channels like ours, have already confirmed that the deal has been done. I, since yesterday, have confirmed that the deal has been done and Onana is waiting to fly out for his medical, but fans will only relax once it's formally confirmed, and I don't blame them. I'm the same. Until I do not see Onana next to Ten Hag holding up the Man United shirt, I'm never relaxed. Can you believe we are so hyped over a goalkeeper? But let's be honest, he's a top goalkeeper. Other United transfer news, Højlund. It's a shame Atlanta think they can pull our pants down on this deal when the player really wants to join United. He's a huge United fan, Højlund. Rasmus Højlund is a massive United fan and he loves Ten Hag. He's been talking with Ten Hag for weeks. He really likes Ten Hag's vision and he wants to really come to United. But bang, Atlanta slap a valuation of £80 million out of nowhere on Rasmus Højlund, putting a complete spanner in the works. It looks like it's off unless they can agree a reasonable fee for the player. I mean, even Rasmus Højlund will be shocked about his valuation. Even he'd be probably thinking, wait up, I thought you told me I was worth 35 million last week, but now I'm worth 80 million? Like, what happened? Someone at Atlanta will probably say to him, well, what happened is that United came knocking and, well, we had to add the United tax, which is normally double what we would charge any other club. Why? Because United usually pay it. Well, not this time. Ten Hag has been playing hardball. As we have seen with both the Mount deal, then this Onana deal, they've not been paying the asking price. They are playing hardball. They're negotiating hard and making sure that they get a fair price for the player. Problem for United is they need to move fast in the market where it comes to a striker. They need a striker quickly. There's not many top strikers available right now. Harry Kane is currently probably chained up in Daniel Levy's basement, the owner of Spurs. And he'll not let him leave until Bayern offers 110 million plus. And if it's United who are bidding for Harry Kane, he'd expect something like 150 million plus. So Daniel Levy is not going to let Harry Kane leave on the cheap or leave at all. My thoughts on Kane is that he's not worth paying that much for. I mean, anything above 100 million is just crazy money. For me personally, I think Osimhen is the ideal striker, one of the best strikers out there right now, and he would be ideal to sign. United are also heavily linked to Amrabat, but I keep asking my sources and no one is able to confirm if any contact has taken place between the clubs. So I think United are waiting to see what budget will be left after they sign a striker maybe. It would make sense as the priority position right now is a striker. It would be silly to go and sign a defensive midfield player before they sign a striker, in my opinion. Maybe United are holding off from making any more signings until they don't sell some of their players that are on the transfer list, which reminds me, Saudi clubs have finally woke up and realised that there's a bigger club in Europe than Chelsea and Liverpool. I mean, going after Henderson and Firmino when you could have Fred and Martial is silly, but let's wait and see. I've heard the Saudi clubs are preparing to raid United, which is just the type of news we have been waiting for. If we can offload our players, we may have the budget to allow us to go and buy someone very big, someone huge by the end of the transfer window. My thoughts are that we hold off and save our money and go and buy Osimhen. He would be worth every penny in my opinion. Okay, so let's take a look at what the other Premier League teams are up to. Chelsea seem to be very busy, still trying to make that huge signing of Caicedo, which is dragging on for a long time. Caicedo had agreed personal terms with Chelsea some time ago. It's just negotiations between Brighton and Chelsea which are taking a long time, I'm hearing. Arsenal, on the other hand, have been spending big in this transfer window. They already bought in Havertz, they've got Rice and they've got Timber all coming into Arsenal. But Rice, no Timber have been formally announced despite the transfers being confirmed weeks ago. Again, this is nothing unusual as we fans now find out about transfers a long time before they actually be announced, like I've just said. But that's a huge signing. One of the players actually that I'm really surprised we didn't go back in for is Jurrien Timber. I'm asking the question, why didn't we go back in for Timber? Timber was one of our key targets last transfer window, but now it seems like we've just simply let Arsenal sign him. I think we might end up regretting this because I think he is a top defender and he's got real potential to be one of the best in the Premier League. So I really think we should have actually gone back in for him. Let me know your comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know, guys, what you think about Timber. Do you think we should have signed him? It's weird. Unless I've not picked up on something, please let me know in the comments below. Why haven't we signed Timber? Liverpool are chasing Lavia, the young central defensive player from Southampton. I reported on this a couple of weeks ago, and I think they will go after him aggressively if Jordan Henderson ends up leaving for Saudi after originally criticising the same country for human rights issues. But I guess it's all now sorted after they've given him a huge contract. Henderson can ignore everything else and happily jump on a plane to Saudi Arabia and join up with his pal Steven Gerrard. Newcastle, on the other hand, are quietly working under the radar and just building a huge club. They signed the midfield maestro in Tonali. There's not much hype outside of Newcastle, but for me this is one of the best signings of the windows. So that's a roundup of the transfer news from the other Premier League clubs. If I've missed anything, let me know in the comments below. Like I said, they're so hard to keep on top of all the transfer news from other clubs as well as what is going on at Manchester United that it's just impossible. This transfer window, I don't know about you guys, but it has been absolutely insane with the whole Saudi thing going on. It just seems like players are jumping ship left, right and centre. It is crazy. You're hearing transfer news constantly throughout the day and even through the night. It is insane, absolutely insane. Finally, we turn our attention to the lovely, kind, generous owners of Manchester United, the Glazer family. We are hearing from a number of news agencies that the Glazers are not happy with the offers received and are looking for higher bids, and believe that both bidders should increase their offers, and this is why they haven't responded to the initial offers made by both Sheikh Yassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Can you believe what you're hearing? The Glazers bought Manchester United from loans from the banks in the tune of £600 million in 2005. Since buying Manchester United, they have personally invested the amount of zero. The loan they took out to buy Manchester United had interest payments on it for over £40 million each year. So the Glazers each year would look at the money Man United was making and then take the full payment for the interest and pay off their loans from the money that Manchester United would make. They would then also take out their own spending money from the money Manchester United was making. After this, whatever was left, they'd invest in players. And when I mean invest in players, they would pay double the price what anyone else would pay for these players. The list goes on and on of players that the Glazers have bought for an extreme amount of money for no good reason. If you look back at the transfers that Man United have made since the Glazers have been in charge, it is ridiculous. We've paid over the odds for every single player that's come in. It has been a shambles since the Glazers takeover. United would have been by far one of the most richest clubs in the world if the Glazers didn't take over. The Glazers have taken billions of pounds out of United to pay for these bank interest payments. The banks must love the Glazers so much. They must be their best customers, these Glazers. Fast forward today, those same Glazers who bought the club entirely on debt have not invested a single penny of their own into Manchester United, and yet they think that an offer in the region of 6 billion is not enough for them and they want more. Can you believe this? Really, can you believe this? The Glazers are an illustration of what is wrong with the world these days. A small group of people who are so greedy and selfish that they're willing to destroy a football club of the people. A club with history and heritage, a club with millions of fans across the globe just for their own private gain. Is the £5.5 billion of profit not enough for them? What gives them the right to demand more? What value have they added to Manchester United since they've been the owners? The stadium and training facilities have not been touched. They are dire. It took the legendary, iconic Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most famous footballers in the world currently, to come out and publicly shame the Glazers for them to even start considering selling the club. Yet, it appears they have become comfortable again in their seats and now they're hoping to remain as owners. Like I said yesterday, even if they got an offer for 8 billion, they wouldn't sell. 8 billion pounds would ensure that the Glazers generation after generation would still be filthy rich, yet they want more. Gluttony eats your heart out. They don't have any sympathy for fans. They don't care about the players. They don't care about the manager. They have no desire to do anything good for the club. And that is what hurts. That is what's painful for us. That we have got owners who have got no feeling towards the club. They're absolute parasites. We need to all change the course of history right now, or else we'll end up having the Glazers' grandchildren running this club. Man United will become a mid-table team, and that's the best case scenario. We might even get relegated if the Glazers continue on this course, because every other club is getting bigger and better and stronger, whereas we are not moving in that direction. We are not getting stronger. We are getting weak at the core because our core is the owners. I hear some fans say, well, look, it's got nothing to do with the owners and they've invested millions and billions of pounds of Manchester United's money into Manchester United and buying players, but that's not enough. If you haven't got the core foundations right, no matter how much money you spend on top of that, it'll never be enough. And this is my concern. It's not that we haven't spent any money, it's just that we haven't spent it wisely. It's like building a huge building on top of crumbling, crappy foundations. And that's what the Glazers are. They're crappy foundations, and we don't need them. We need a solid foundation and then building forward from there. And this is why I am so in favour of getting the Glazers out, because I've seen that they have turned the club into a complete and utter joke. It's become a shambles, and we all need to unite as United fans, and this is what supporters are all about. Supporters are there to protect the club, and we need to protect the club. We need to, now it's our time. We need to go out there and protest. We need to go out there and let it be known that we do not want the Glazers to sit here and ruin the club any further. We need our club to be free once again, and we need to be challenging the rest of the clubs out there in the world that Manchester United is not going to go away. It is going to be a big club going forward as well. Anyway, guys, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Goodbye.